for the people who live in this neighborhood. I just talked to a few of them a few minutes ago, and they said that they were doing their best to get everything out. We'll send it back to you now.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much. We're going to keep your picture on the right side of the screen. On the left side of the screen, what you're looking at is another live picture from our photojournalist, Jacob Jenkins, as he walks towards a barn. It looks like a stable of some sort with a horse. I'm sure a lot of people trying to get their animals out as well, but just horses running around wild, it seems, at this point, with no one to care for them. This is a sad picture we're looking at right now.
Well, you take a look, and this is a sad situation because these horses are in desperate need of help and at least some sort of direction, and they're just kind of, obviously in a situation like this, they get pretty spooked or they could run. So let's make sure that we give them as much room as we possibly can, of course. But you see the horse trailers in the background.
Yeah.
There's a fire just beyond that. There's a colt as well, so some younger horses. This is a pretty big operation. You see a number of horse trailers back there. And it appears these horses to be running wild, which actually at this point in time, that's probably a good thing. You wouldn't want them inside. I know a lot of times, going up around horses, if there's a fire nearby, you want to get them out of the barn so they can at least escape the flames. If they're inside the barn, that's not necessarily a good situation, a safe situation for them. So you want to be able to get them so they can at least run away from the flames, and they will do that. They certainly know what to do in situations like this, and they will run from the fire. But it appears they're sticking together. I don't see that there's necessarily any sort of threat at this point in time. You see those pocket fires, and they are certainly, some of them, under distress, as you can hear them name. So.
Yeah, that's true. As we're looking at this picture, Jacob apparently talked to someone, one of the groundskeepers there, who was quick to talk to him. And just to let you know, we have spoken to someone. So there is someone there watching these horses. Okay. We don't know if they've let them go or released them. We have no idea at this point, but there is someone there. Thank goodness for that.
We'll continue to follow that and keep us up to date on that as well. Yeah.
On the left side of the screen, you're looking at a map. It looks like that's exactly what we're looking at tonight. And you can see just from the pictures, not much, pretty sparse surrounding that area. You can see the road that goes by the freeway, I believe that is, and along the 210 freeway.
Yeah, that's the 210.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
here.
Not much vegetation, which is a good picture, for us to look at because,
But it's completely surrounded
by... But again,
by,
it's the embers that is the big problem tonight. So.
And that's also a big problem, is it's completely surrounded right there, as you see, just around that area. If they kind of come out, it's just nothing but an open space, and so that's where the fire can, of course, grow. Let's go to Stu Mundell. He's in Sky 9 to get a look at what's going on from upstairs and his vantage point. Stu?
Perfect timing there, Jeff. Take a look at that. LA County Fire using the wind with the water drops there. We've been watching they're actually hammering the brush fire portion of this as the fire is making its way north up this hillside. This is going to be the brush fire part of it, and this fire is still burning. It's a very diverse fire, actually. You've got structures, you've got neighborhoods, you've got industrial areas, and you have actually dangerous chemicals burning as well. LA County Fire helicopters are out here right now dropping water on that brush portion and actually using the wind, dropping farther up and actually letting the wind carry the water to where that fire is. That's going to be up on the hillside. That's the neighborhood that we were talking about when we first arrived here, that there was so much concern about. It seems like most of the fire in that neighborhood has basically moved along, moved out of that area. Yarnell, then the 210, that's going to be right over in this area right here. The freeway was open, then it was closed again, but you can see a lot of activity still out here. The fire's still burning in some of the brush near the freeway. Now the firefighters, they've got a big firefight on their hands as that flames were basically moving from that direction over towards the 5 and into this industrial area. This is going to be inline. They sell safety equipment to large industrial places. You can see right there, that is a lot of intense fire. And this all started, these are trucks basically parked on the property, all started with embers. Just those tiny embers blowing through this area. Right now, though, that fire is burning very intensely. Whatever it entrenched in, those are trucks with some sort of product on the back. That was extremely flammable and explosive. We watched as that was the fire exploded many, many times. Firefighters from LA City Fire here on scene right now. And we know those firefighters with those hoses and the special equipment, that's a lot of water and that's a lot of pressure. Earlier on, we were watching as this truck right here was trying to get water on that outbuilding that was burning, but the winds were blowing so hard, even the fire departments with the high pressure couldn't get that water over to that structure. They've pulled the hose lines, they're making their way, they're starting to put out a lot of this property that is burning out here. This right here, that's going to be a bit of a firefight as basically their resources are spread a little thin, as you can see, but they're definitely keeping an eye on it. Several fire trucks in the area, LA City Fire, LA County Fire on the ground and in the air. This is a heck of a firefight, moving very, very quickly, and in the beginning, it was just a huge ball of fire right by the freeway. Now it's really kind of spread out, and you've got a diverse type of situation. You've got brush fires up on the hillsides, helicopters battling that. They have brush units that are actually going to make their way over there as well, but right now they're just trying to slow the fire. Take a look right there, LA County Fire, that's the Firehawk. I bet you he's going to do a drop here shortly, and you can watch as the winds carry that water, and it drops onto the fire. And again, that's a lot of water, but that's a lot more fire down there.
You know, Stu, as you've been showing us these dramatic pictures from the air, we have been watching some pretty dramatic pictures from the ground from our photojournalist Jacob Jenkins, and you can see people running around this barn trying to get the horses together. I don't know exactly what the plan is, but they've been really, scurrying, running around and trying to get something together, and also taking hoses and, dousing these flames on their own, because you can see just how close that is to their barn.
Yeah, this is going to back up to the Stetson Ranch Park. As you can take a look here, these are live pictures. This is a very large ranch operation of some sort. A number of horses, a very large barn area. It doesn't appear that any of the structures, you see that to the left, that circle area, that's going to be one of the corrals as part of this ranch, if you will. Then to the upper left there, that's going to be one of the big barns. It doesn't appear that any of the structures are on fire, but as you see here, the live picture on the right side, that's going to be, it looks like that might be, I don't know, it might be a pile of hay, or might be something there that's burning. You see the horse trailers to the right. Yeah. And, typically when you have that, that appears to be something that's, I don't know if that's, what that is exactly, but that's going to be a long, that little garden hose is not going to do that much. So we would really love to see a fire crew get in there and do something. You know that they're all very busy trying to get to these locations, and there's practically one way in and out. Is what's making it so hard.
Yeah, this is absolute desperation right now. Obviously, what we're looking at is just so windy out there in Sylmar. Let's bring in meteorologist Evelyn Taft. Obviously, Evelyn, we have been talking about this for days now. We knew what to expect. We didn't know how much of it to expect.
Right.
How much longer will firefighters have to contend with these wind gusts?
Well, we do have some breaking news. I understand the LAFD has called this fire. This is going to be the fire burning right now on your screen in Sylmar, a major fire emergency. And this is the Saddle Ridge fire. Last heard it was up to 40 acres and growing. Let's go live now to Stu Mundell in Sky 9. And one of the places we're looking at here, you see off to the right, is a ranch area with a number of horses. You see some of those workers there trying on their own to put out some of these flames. Stu, what's your vantage point?
Thing that Jacob is looking at down on the ground. Every now and then you can see that person with that garden hose. That garden hose might do something, but it's not going to be able to take care of that type of fire. And take a look at those embers. Every time the wind really kicks up, whatever's burning down there, probably a pile of hay or something, those embers really start to kick up, and it's going to spread even farther. The reason why the picture is getting a little darker like that is because there's a lot of smoke in the area, and when the smoke covers it up and then passes, as you see right now, you can get a better vantage point. But this is one of those things where they actually have the people down there, civilians, trying to get in there, trying to save some of their property. You can't fault them for trying to save their own stuff, but the firefighting equipment, we actually saw just moments ago, the firefighters with their equipment and those high pressure hoses and lines were actually, because of the wind, we're having trouble getting it to the actual fire. So right now, what this person's doing, he's probably trying to help, but the fire definitely spreading out here. This is going to be that horse property that's right off the Yarnell off-ramp, just to the north by the 210 freeway. We can't see those horses. I've been looking, believe me. I want to see and make sure they are safe, or if they run off into a certain area, at least maybe we could get somebody to know where they are. But very smoky down there, especially in this spot. We do know that Jacob is down there on the ground. His vantage point may be a little bit better, but let's get a little bit of a wider shot right now. Flames still moving up those Sylmar Mountains. You can see that ring of fire still moving, and it's actually starting to move a little bit off to the east as well. There's another community, but it's up the hill. As long as the winds don't change, that community probably going to be safe for now. But you did hear Margaret Stewart basically saying, if you feel threatened or you see these flames getting so close to your home, you know, don't wait for the fire department to tell you, hey, it's time to leave. Make your own decision. Get out of there. Get out there before the fire gets to your home. You got another LA City Fire helicopter right there trailing some water, doing another drop. But again, that's a lot of water, that's a lot of fire, and it's windy, moving uphill. Very, very dangerous stuff.
All right, Stu, we go back to the ground now. KCAL 9's Rachel Kim is in a neighborhood with the fire very close and also with the homeowner. Rachel.
Yes, Susie, we are on the 15,000 block of Yarnell Street, so right off the freeway. You can take a look at the street here. Multiple agencies responding, and I don't know if Robert can zoom in onto the flames.
It's going to be near the Saddle Tree Ranch trailhead, just backing up to the Stetson Ranch Park. We have a live picture. There's a number of horses that are on the loose. You see workers there with that horse farm taking garden hoses, trying to get out some of the fires. It looks like they are getting a handle on some of this. And just so the viewers know, a number of the horses you see running around, it's better to keep them out of the barn. If the barn was to ever catch fire, then they're trapped in there. It's better to have those horses out and running around and sticking together in a herd, if you will. There is a little bit of safety for them like that, and they can get away from any sort of danger. If they're in an area that's confined, they can actually hurt themselves. So it's really much better to have them out running around. They are stressed, of course. You can tell that they are distressed, these horses, but that is about the best that they can do for them, is to get them out there so they can you know, not hurt themselves inside of a closed confinement of a corral or something like that.
Yeah, you know, just a moment ago you saw what Jeff was talking about, the desperation, workers really trying to use hoses to put out the fire themselves. This is a picture that we've actually been seeing multiple times this evening, because of what you have is firefighters not only in Sylmar but all the way from Riverside to Ventura County. There are multiple fires burning in Southern California tonight, so obviously multiple agencies on multiple fires, and that's why neighbors are just grabbing hoses and doing what they can. We saw it in Rachel's live shot when she talked about a neighbor who was showing us the fire burning right up against his home, and you know, they just did what they could, and they took the hoses and just hoped and prayed that the recent clearance that the HOA did was going to do, and it looks like it did for the most part. Again, no evacuations along Yarnell as far as we know, where Rachel was in that neighborhood. I know that that neighborhood that we're talking about, where we have been addressing tonight, the big concern, there's at least 180 homes in that neighborhood alone. So as far as we know, there are no evacuations along the 15,000 block of Yarnell Street. It might be different, though, as Rachel mentioned, for other parts of that street.
Yeah, you know, let's kind of focus on, you see some cattle now too as part of this extensive ranch operation. You know, the natural sound of what's happening out there is sometimes very amazing in and of itself. So I want to just take a moment and let's just listen in to this live picture here. This is in Sylmar at the Saddle Ridge Fire, and this is going to be near the Saddle Tree Ranch trailhead as workers there at this ranch are trying to get horses rounded up. But let's just hear the fierce winds that are blowing in that area for just a moment.